Namaste and what's up, guys? Welcome to Mystery Vault today. We're breaking down the Wish of the Fairy Fish 2023. So without wasting any time, let's jump right in. And the story starts deep in the ocean in a different underwater kingdom, where the king of the fishes is asking his loyal spy frog, "Where has the fish I want to marry disappeared to?" The frog says fearfully, "Your Majesty, there's no trace of her anywhere." Hearing this, the king angrily says, "Search every corner of this world and bring her to me." Then the scene shifts to a small icy village in Russia, where there's the home of a blind blacksmith. Inside the house, his son Emilia is sleeping and his dog comes and wakes him up. Emilia is a pure-hearted and kinda naive guy. Then as he quietly tries to sneak out of the house, his father working at the furnace senses it and says, "Son, you should learn this blacksmith work too. After all, how long will I live?" Emilia says, "Okay, Baba, I'll learn it soon." Then, on his father saying, he takes a bucket and a hook to catch fishes and heads to the frozen river. He sits at one spot and starts fishing. But suddenly the water shoots up like a fountain, and with it a fish falls right into his bucket. Emilia gets super happy thinking today food is sorted without any effort. Then he returns home and starts preparing to cook the fish. Suddenly a voice from behind says, "What are you looking for?" Emilia gets shocked seeing that the fish can talk. The fish says, "If you let me back into the river, I'll grant you any 3 wishes." Emilia doesn't believe it at first. But still, he makes his first wish. "I wish I could roam the whole city without leaving my furnace." As soon as he says that, the house suddenly starts shaking and slowly the entire house lifts up. Emilia gets scared and in no time his furnace starts moving like a vehicle and he actually comes out roaming the whole village. The fish says, "Just like you wanted to roam without leaving the furnace, so the furnace is coming with you." Emilia couldn't believe that his first wish came true. Then, after stopping at one place because of the cold, he blurts out, "I wish it was green all around with mild warm weather." And right then, greenery spreads in the ice cold, turns to mild warm breeze, and the ice below melts into a river. The fish says, "Your 2 wishes are done, only one left." Now Emilia thinks he wasted 2 wishes just like that. The fish says every human asks for what's within the limits of their thinking. After that, Emilia moves ahead with the fish. Then some robbers come and block the way and try to snatch the bucket from his hand. Emilia runs with the bucket to save the fish and all the robbers chase him. But somehow he escapes them and quickly releases the fish into the river so she's safe. But the robbers catch him and in anger hang him upside down on a tree and leave. A little while later, a beautiful girl comes there and unties the rope, bringing Emilia down. Emilia doesn't recognize her at first and asks her name. She says Vasilisa. Then Emilia sees the shining scarf on her shoulder and realizes this is the same magical fish he released into the water. He immediately grabs her scarf so she can't run away and says, "My last wish is still pending, which I'll use at the right time." Vasilisa asks, "What next?" He replies, "I want to marry the Russian king's daughter, Princess Anfisa, and for that I'll work hard myself without any wish and you'll help me." Vasilisa agrees to support him. After that, we see the king's grand palace. There, the princess's maid comes and tells that the English ambassador is coming with a marriage proposal. Hearing this, Anfisa gets very happy because she always wanted to marry an Englishman. So she quickly gets ready and sits waiting. The ambassador arrives and to please the princess, gives her an umbrella as a gift. But the king doesn't like the English at all, and he wants his daughter to marry a true and kind-hearted person. But before the king can refuse, the ambassador says, "Your Majesty, I brought a special gift for you. You'll be very happy seeing it." Meanwhile, Emilia and Vasilisa reach near the palace walls and secretly watch all this. The ambassador shows the king a machine and says, "This instrument plays music on its own." But actually one of his men is hidden inside who plays music by pressing buttons. But the king says, "We don't need such a machine." But Princess Anfisa has already fallen for that Englishman, and the king doesn't know how to explain to his daughter. Then Emilia comes running and says, "Your Majesty, no need to marry the princess to an Englishman. I'll bring an instrument that plays music just by speaking." The king happily says, "If you do that, ask for whatever you want." Emilia immediately asks, "Then will you let me marry the princess?" The king smiles and says, "If you succeed, I'll definitely get you married." But the princess starts convincing her father to let her marry the Englishman. But the king ignores her and tells his servants to give Emilia new clothes and shoes so he can set off on his journey. Emilia happily comes out and tells Vasilisa everything. Vasilisa says that instrument does exist in this world, but getting it isn't easy. It's with a dangerous cat in the dark forest. Whoever went to get it never returned. Amelia gets a bit scared, but he's ready to face any trouble to get the instrument. Vasilisa also agrees to go with him, and both head towards the dark forest. On the way, Vasilisa tells that the cat is very dangerous. If he plays a happy song, the person in front dances till he collapses from exhaustion, and the cat eats him. And if he plays a sad song, the listener cries himself to sleep and same fate. Now reaching one place, Vasilisa says, "From here, you have to go alone." After that, Amelia goes alone into that scary forest where there are piles of bones and skeletons everywhere. Then suddenly a voice says, "These skeletons are of those who came to take my musical instrument. Do you want it too?" Amelia, without fear, says yes. The cat laughs and says, "Okay, if you can control yourself hearing my song, the instrument is yours. Now tell me, sad song or happy?" Amelia chooses the sad song, so the cat starts playing and singing. The cat was happy, thinking Amelia will fall asleep and he'll eat him. But surprisingly, Amelia just cries a little and then starts singing the next lines of the song. The cat gets shocked and asks, "How do you know this?" Amelia smiles and says, "My mom used to sing this same song in childhood, so it didn't affect me much." Now, as per the bet, the cat loses, and instead, he himself starts crying, "If you take this instrument, I'll starve to death." Hearing this, Amelia opens his bag and gives food to the cat. After eating full for the first time, the cat happily says, "Now this instrument is yours, and from today, I'll stay with you because I've become your friend." On the other side, Vasilisa is waiting by the riverbank. Then the Fish King's spy frog comes and says, "The Fish King is searching everywhere to marry you." Hearing this, she angrily refuses. "Go tell him I'll never marry him." Then Amelia arrives there with the cat and the instrument and overhears the frog's whole talk. Vasilisa gets happy seeing the instrument, and then both start returning. On the way, Amelia asks about the Fish King. Vasilisa says, "I don't love him. That's why I left from there." After that, we see the king's palace scene, where the English ambassador has come, this time disguised as Italian ambassador. Princess Anfisa recognizes him and gets happy. But before he can ask for Anfisa's hand, Emilia arrives with the cat and magical instrument and tells the cat, "Play the happy song." As soon as the music plays, everyone in the court, from the king to all people, start dancing uncontrollably. And when everyone gets exhausted and starts falling on the ground, Emilia tells the cat to stop the song. Seeing all this, the king surprisingly says, "This is an amazing instrument. I'm very happy, and now this cat and instrument will stay in our palace." Amelia reminds the king of the marriage condition. The king happily agrees. But Anfisa still wants to marry that Englishman. She tells Amelia, "If you really want to marry me, prove something that shows you'll do anything for me, and I'll tell you what that task is tomorrow." The innocent Amelia falls for her words and smilingly agrees. Then he goes to Vasilisa and says, "The princess agreed to the marriage, good. But I have to do one more new task for her." Vasilisa smilingly congratulates him. But on the other side, the princess plays a new trick. She goes to a dark room in the palace and on a mysterious chair summons her mother's evil spirit. As soon as the spirit appears, Anfisa says, "I want to give Amelia such a task that he can never complete, and I get rid of him forever." Her mother smilingly tells her a difficult task. The next day in the court, the ambassador shows a machine and says, "This is a modern mixer machine. Put salad in it, it cuts itself, put fruits, juice comes out automatically." Actually, a man is hidden inside doing all this, but from outside it looks like a magical machine. Meanwhile, Anfisa comes to the king and says, "Can Amelia bring something that serves food on its own?" The king says such magical tablecloths are heard in stories but never seen. Anfisa cunningly says, "If Amelia brings that magical tablecloth, I'll marry him." Now, as per the princess's new condition, Amelia and Vasilisa set off in search of the magical tablecloth. On the way, Vasilisa tells that the tablecloth is with two brothers named Tsitsar and Afanasi. Many years ago, they left the village and went to live in the hilly area. They get food and drink just by sitting, so they became so lazy that now they can't even walk. While talking like this, both stop at an old couple's house for food. The house is very simple, but they have true love. Then, while leaving, Vasilisa smiles and says, "Love between two people should be like needle and thread. One is incomplete without the other." Moving ahead, passing through green fields, they finally reach that hilly area, where between high rocks, those two fat brothers are sitting facing each other with the magical tablecloth spread. As soon as they speak, The magical tablecloth brings lots of delicious food in a moment, and both start eating heartily. From far, Emilia and Vasilisa watch all this, and when both brothers get tired of eating, Emilia goes to them and says, "Give me this tablecloth." Hearing this, both angrily hit coconuts on his head and knock him unconscious. Now to wake Emilia, Vasilisa comes there and tells both, "Look at your face in the water once." On her saying when both see their reflection in water, they get shocked, because due to years of just eating and drinking, both had become as fat as buffaloes. Now they regret and ask Vasilisa, "How can we become like before?" Vasilisa says, "If you really want, first get rid of this magical tablecloth. As long as it's with you, you'll never work hard." Hearing this, both brothers in shame say, "You're right, take it." Now Vasilisa takes the tablecloth and somehow takes Emilia and leaves from there. Now Emilia regains consciousness and seeing the tablecloth gets happy, thinking he finally completed the condition. On the return way, when Emilia starts picking flowers from the garden for the princess, Vasilisa says, "Why don't you understand that Anfisa doesn't want to marry you? Every time she gives you tasks that you can't complete." But Emilia, in his innocence, says, "No, Anfisa isn't like that. Just let me do this once, then everything will be fine." Seeing Emilia's goodness of heart, Vasilisa falls in love with him, but she can't express her feelings. After that, when Emilia reaches the kingdom with the magical tablecloth, everyone happily cheers for him. The king proudly says, "See now, he's made a place in people's hearts too." But anger is clear on Anfisa's face. She again asks her mother spirit, "What now?" She, with a scary smile, tells a terrifying plan. Then next day in the court, Anfisa says in front of everyone, "I'm ready to marry Emilia. But before that, I want him to go to the dark world and get my mother's permission for the marriage." The king gets shocked hearing this because returning alive from the dark world is impossible. But Emilia, as usual, agrees without thinking. Then he meets Vasilisa. She tries to explain, "Going there is like stepping into death's mouth." Emilia just smiles. What's to fear death when intentions are pure? Then next day, before leaving, he first goes to meet his blind father. Father, hearing his voice, says, "Son, you're alive. I couldn't even search for you because my eyes don't see." Hearing this, Emilia's eyes fill with tears. He apologizes to his father and takes blessings and sets off on his journey. Now on the way, he tells Vasilisa, "I wasted 2 wishes just like that, but now with the 3rd wish, I want my father to see again." As soon as he says this, with Vasilisa's magic light returns to his father's eyes. Then both reach the riverbank from where the journey starts. Now Emilia returns the magical fish scarf to Vasilisa, freeing her, because his 3 wishes are complete. But Vasilisa says, "I can't leave you alone in trouble because we both are like needle and thread, incomplete without each other." Emilia doesn't understand the hint, and then both's journey starts. Now moving ahead in the river after some distance, they see big statues all around. Vasilisa says, "From here the dark area starts." Then both stop the boat and descend into a valley. Then hearing the guardian's voice of this area, Emilia gets scared. But Vasilisa says, "He came with me." Emilia, shocked, says, "How can he be your father?" The guardian says, "Yes, I'm her father. I turned her from fish to human in search of a true companion." Now Vasilisa tells her father everything and asks for help. After hearing everything he says, the queen tormented innocence for greed and power. That's why she's punished with eternal hunger. Then he calls the queen's spirit. She appears in her terrifying form. Emilia steps forward and says, "I came to get permission for marrying your daughter." But the queen's spirit says, "I'll never allow my daughter to marry a poor human." Seeing this, Vasilisa's father tells the queen, "You've been suffering hunger punishment for centuries. If you give permission for the marriage, I can give you food." The queen, seeing food in front, can't control herself and gives permission. After that palace scene where everyone is eating, suddenly smoke like queen spirit appears on the tray on the table and says in front of everyone, "I give permission for this marriage." The king gets happy that Emilia really did what no human could, but Anfisa starts getting angry. Meanwhile, in the dark world, Vasilisa thanks her father and starts returning with Emilia. On the way, she smilingly says, "Now your most difficult task is done with which you'll get your princess, and now you'll forget me too, because those who return alive have to lose all magical memories." Emilia from heart says, "Forgetting you is not in my hands, and I never want to forget you." Meanwhile, Anfisa angrily comes to that room and starts breaking the mysterious chair. Mother's spirit stops her and says, I had to give permission to Amelia in compulsion. He wasn't alone. All his successes are because of a magical fish, and in our kingdom, using magic is punishable by death. Hearing this, she understands what to do with Amelia now. Meanwhile, morning comes by the riverbank and the boat reaches the shore. But as soon as Amelia's eyes open, all memories related to Vasilisa erase from his mind. And he doesn't even recognize Vasilisa. Vasilisa says, "I'm just a boatman who ferried you across the river." Amelia gets down from the boat and starts leaving. But he feels like he forgot something very important. Then he reaches Anfisa and says, "I completed all your tasks, but now maybe I've fallen in love with someone else." Anfisa cunningly asks, "Did you do all these tasks alone?" Amelia says, "No, every time some magical power helped me." Hearing this, Anfisa calls soldiers and orders to arrest Amelia. Then next day, in front of everyone, blindfold is tied on his eyes, and it's announced that Amelia used magic to win the princess, so he's sentenced to death. Amelia gets very sad that the one he risked his life for wants to kill him. The king helplessly stays silent. But just as soldiers are about to shoot, Vasilisa arrives there. She tells Anfisa, "Leave him in return, I'll be your slave for life and grant you any 3 wishes." Then she gives her magical scarf to Anfisa. Greed shines in Anfisa's eyes, and she forgives Amelia's punishment. But now her arrogance increases even more, and with first wish, she turns the whole public in her favor, imprisons her father, and declares herself the new queen. Then second wish, she asks that the English prince comes with marriage proposal. With Vasilisa's magic, instantly English soldiers arrive with the prince's proposal. Seeing this, the ambassador says, "You wanted to marry me." Anfisa says, "Put this poor guy to work in the palace. Now I'll marry the prince, not the ambassador." Meanwhile, Amelia returns home. There, Sitsar and Afanasi are also present, who have now become fit by doing hard work. Amelia's father says, "Last time you came here with Vasilisa," but Amelia remembers nothing. Then Amelia's eyes fall on needle and thread in Sitsar's hand, and staring for a while, all his memories return. Now he sets off to find Vasilisa, in which his father, Sitsar, and Afanasi also help by taking their furnace towards the palace. And reaching there, they break the palace gate. Amelia immediately reaches Vasilisa and says, "It took me too long to understand your love, but now I've come to take you." Then Anfisa comes with her soldiers and says, "This girl is now my slave." Amelia says, "If you don't free her, we'll turn your soldiers against you." But Anfisa arrogantly laughs, "You people can't do anything to me." Then she asks Vasilisa for her third and final wish, "Make me exactly like you, a magician." Vasilisa, without delay, completes the wish, and Anfisa herself turns into a fish and falls into a bucket. Seeing this, everyone starts laughing that the princess did stupidity, and she shouts, "Quickly turn me human." Vasilisa says the magical fish grants others wishes not her own, and in greed for magical wishes, you turned yourself into a fish. Then the fish's king comes out and, mistaking Anfisa for Vasilisa, takes her forever underwater with him. After that, everything in the palace becomes peaceful and happy. The king returns among his people again, and Amelia comes to Vasilisa and kisses her. She gets very happy because the search for a true companion is complete today. And with this, the story ends here. So friends, if you love this mystery, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more movie mysteries. See you in the next one.